Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at a very toxic team around the newly buffed Wigglytuff. Or is it a buff? We're going to take a look at it today. We're going to have Swift now on this Pokemon. And the cool thing about Swift is that this is going to be the cheapest charge move on this Pokemon. And with the fast move of Charm, which doesn't generate a lot of energy, I think like 2 per turn, then it is quite nice to have something like Swift. And what we see here already in the first game here as well, while we don't go for the Swift, we see that the Swift is going to be available one fast move earlier than Icy Wind or Disarming Voice. And this is actually way more important than you might expect, because for a Pokemon like Wigglytuff that doesn't get you too many charge moves, it is quite important to get to one a little bit faster. And so I feel like Wigglytuff is the main reason why Swift is not a 35 energy move, because that would be a little bit too broke maybe on this Pokemon. But as you're gonna see here, we used Swift at least once here to get the shield from the opponent in the first battle, and we're going to be able to go ahead and now align our Tropius against the opponent's Annihilate. We can use a shield on the first move here, which is going to be the Shadow Ball, and we can go for the full farm now, trying to get out of this matchup with 2 Leaf Blades. By the way, if I sound a little bit off today, I have crazy hay fever right now, and like my nose is literally like, I don't know, it's not really ideal right now to commentate, but that's also why the video is a little bit later. I think it's going to be a little bit better now because I took some medicine, but that took like an hour for that to work, so that's why the video is a little bit later than I wanted to. But anyway, we're going to take a look here at the nice sweep of the Tropius for the first battle, which is going to be able to also knock out the Cresselia. Goodbye there. Also, one other reason why this video was a little bit late here today, or like it's not like that much later, but I was actually trying out a different team before that, which was the rank 1 team from my brother from last season with the Magnezone in the lead, and I can tell you, I would not recommend you to use this team at all this season anymore. Why? Because I feel like there are way more Fire-type Pokemon this season, and with a team with the Magnezone in the lead instead, you're just going to struggle quite a bit more against those Fire-type Pokemon, while Bastion is going to be a great answer towards those Pokemon. So I would actually not recommend you to go for the Magnezone line anymore. I feel like the Magnezone line is kind of outdated for this kind of reason. There's still going to be mostly the Magnezone line from last season that I liked as well, with the Annihilate Saysop and the Manta in the back, which still should most likely work out quite well. But the very toxic Magnezone line I would not recommend you to use, just for, yeah, FYI here basically. But anyway, we will see here the opponent going for an Awkward Tail, thinking that they would go up against my Bastion, but they don't, and basically this game is over already. Bastion is like such a cheat code. Like, if you get this Pokemon aligned against any neutral matchup, basically here you're always going to be able to win, just because of the insane amount of bulk of this Pokemon. I actually want to use the Shadow variant of this Pokemon first, but Niantic, like I basically had like the normal variant in there first, then swapped it out against the Shadow variant, and like the first battle that I went through, like Niantic just decided to swap it back to the normal variant, so I'm just stuck with it here. But anyway, here we're going to see that the opponent can still go for the Awkward Tail and knock us out, but there's still the Tropius in the back, and there's no way that they can win this battle. This team honestly was amazing. Like, sadly, of course, it's again a toxic lineup here, but I kind of want to take a look at least at the Wigglytuff and see if Swift is going to be better. This team was amazing. Would really recommend you to try it out if you want to get some cheap wins. Of course, it is a very simple line. It's a very toxic line. You can still use the Victory Bell instead of the Tropius. I think Tropius is better than Victory Bell, by the way, just because of the insane amount of bulk of this Pokemon, which helps out those teams quite a bit. And Tropius is honestly kind of underrated, in my opinion. Like, this Pokemon still, of course, yeah, some people are using it, but it is so underrated in different kind of ways. I kind of want to make another video about Tropius as well, maybe as a lead Pokemon again. But anyway, here we go to see the Sableye coming in, and I decided to go ahead and go into my own Tropius. Why did I do this? Because I was expecting that the opponent might be running a lineup that I have never done a video about, but it's basically a lineup that I kind of popularized still through Twitter, through top team videos, and yeah, I was correct. It is the Vigoroth, Sableye, the Giratina line. I kind of should make a video about it as well soon, but yeah, basically I had this in like, I think 3 top team videos as well for me, because it was like my favorite line to play, but I actually never came around to make a video about it, mainly because I feel like a lot of people don't have the Giratina, and Giratina is kind of mandatory for this team, and so it's a little bit tricky to showcase something that most people are not going to be able to play anyway. But this team is definitely very, very solid. I needed to get to the charge week here to win this game, which I'm not going to be able to do, and so sadly the opponent is going to be able to win this one, as they can still reach another Shadow Ball here against our Tropius and knock us out. Moving on now to the next opponent, let's take a look what they're going to run here. They're going to have the Feraligatr in lead, very bad lead, and so we decide to swap out into the Wigglytuff, and that's kind of how you want to play this team here as well. You kind of always want to swap out into your Rika answer, basically. For Feraligatr, it's actually quite nice for this team, because the fast move is resisted on the Wigglytuff, while the charge move of Hydro Cannon at least is going to be resisted of the Tropius. Here, I was hoping that the Icy Wind would be enough to knock them out here already, but it is not. I don't think a Swift would have done it either, but I'm actually going to be curious here right now and see if Swift is going to do way more damage against the opponent. Maybe I actually made a mistake here. I think Swift does actually a little bit more damage than the Icy Wind, if I am correct here, just because of the stab bonus. But it is definitely an interesting matchup, as you're going to see here that we can catch a move on our Tropius. They have the obstacle in the back, this basically game over. We're going to be easily able to win this game here against the opponent, because there is not a lot that they can do about it. With this Pokemon here, I'm just going to be able to go ahead and just use a shield against them. I kind of want to let the first boost go through because of the potential of a boost, but the opponent is not going to be able to get any of this here, so this is going to be a great matchup for us. We can go for another charge move, force the final shield, not the final shield, the second to last shield, and now we can also use our own shield. We can go for the full farm down, and we're going to end up here with basically, or they actually get the boost, we're going to be able to end up here with one Leaf Blade. This Leaf Blade is going to force the final shield of the opponent, but also we get some nice damage. This damage is very crucial in order to knock them out with one Stone Edge, but they decide to overfarm by quite a bit, which is a little bit scary, but it's still going to be kind of great for me, because like this, I can just put them into smackdown range, and as long as they don't have two charge moves stored here, which they should have not had, yeah, they definitely just went for a charge of prayer anyway, we're going to be fine here and win the game. Next opponent, we're going to have a Lantern in the lead. We can swap out straight away into our Wigglytuff. Lantern not as scary anymore, but we're going to have here Carbon coming in. And I decided to go for the Icy Wind here and use a shield before that, because I kind of want to align myself. And I'm not too sure if I play this correctly here as well. I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to take a look at this one really quick on the side as well. If you can actually align yourself with a Wigglytuff against the Calming, if you go into the two-shield scenario, because this would be very good here to flip switch. But as you're going to see here, the opponent can go for a Rock Slide, let the move go through. And decide to not even go for a charge move, because I would have not knocked them out here. And you sadly cannot align yourself with a Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff always going to lose it. If you have Icy Wind, I think if you maybe have some disarming voice damage, you might be a little bit better off. But even then, you're not going to be able to win this one. So sadly, this is the best play that I can make. The opponent is going to have a hard counter here in the back as well with the Mantine. And so we're going to be in a little bit of a tough spot. And as they go straight for the Aerial Ace, they are not running Ice Beam, which they tell me with that. So I am going to be forced to go for a Leaf Blade here, hoping that they let the move go through, which they don't. But I would also not be able to align myself in the one-shot scenario, so I'm forced to let the move go through here as well and knock out the opponent now with a Smackdown, or like not the Smackdown, with a Stone Edge here from our Bastiodon. This should be enough damage. It's going to be super effective, hard-hitting move, and yes, it's going to be enough, but now it's down to the Lantern against the Bastion, and we don't have energy. We still have a shield, which we're gonna use immediately here, basically, but it is going to be a little bit of a tougher one. We're going to let the move go through from the opponent. It is going to be that Surf going to take a lot of damage on us here, but we can still reach another Stone Edge, which is going to be able to connect against the opponent. And honestly, I think if we had the Shadow variant of the Bastion here today, this would have been definitely a knockout at this point already, but sadly the Surf... Oh wait, we can actually still survive the Surf, which is going to be cool for us. But they survive with 1 HP, and we're gonna go down now, and so that's sadly a loss, but a very close one for getting completely hard-walled. So, let's take a look at the next opponent. Very decent lead for us. We can just stay in here. We can go ahead and go for a Stone Edge, as we will be able to win this in the 0 shields and definitely in the 1 shields, but I don't know if we can actually win this in the 2 shield scenario. I think you can. Back in the day, it was, I think, always a win for Sableye, but now because you have the XL variant of the Bastion, I think it is kind of better for Bastion now. No, actually, in the 2-shield scenario, Sableye can actually win this matchup, which I don't really care too much about because I can swap out anyway, keep my lead a little bit alive, and that's kind of what you have to do anyway, because if there's going to be a Fire type in the back, you're going to be struggling quite a bit if your Bastion is already gone. So, like, if you can avoid your Bastion getting knocked out, this would be kind of good for you. It's kind of important to keep your Bastion around for this team. Anyway, we're going to see the opponent going for one Excellent here, which is of course the correct move, as both moves, Excellent as well as the Discharge, doing the exact same amount of damage, and Discharge takes 5 more energy. I really want to see like a Discharge buff for the next season. Yeah, it's a little bit annoying because Charge Bug is already very solid, but I feel it's still like, it would be still fine if you give it like +5 or +10 damage. But I also really want to see like some more electric type moves in the game, like for example the move Electro Web, which would be really cool, which would be an Icy Wind clone. Anyway, I'm not going to take any risk here that this would be a return, so I decided to use a shield. I did not count the move, so like maybe I would have been wrong as well that they would not be even close to that one. But we can still go for an Icy Wind against the Azumarill, and even better is what you're going to see here right now. I'm going to be able to still reach a Swift in time, even though I would have also been able to go for an Icy Wind, which is something that is quite hilarious. So basically, if you get to one Icy Wind, the next move is going to be Icy Wind and Swift at the same time. So that's something to note as well for this matchup. Doesn't really matter here because we can just swap out and knock them out with one Stone Edge and win this game. Next opponent coming up, let's take a look what they're going to run here. We're going to have the lead of the Deoxys, which is quite awkward for us. We can swap out into our Wigglytuff. I feel like this is also one of those matchups where it's better to have Tropius in the back compared to the Victory Bell here, because yeah, you're going to be able to just take those moves a little bit easier. The opponent makes a very smart play here. They decide to swap out into an Umbreon against a Wigglytuff. I have no idea why, but I can go for an Icy Wind, which is just going to be great because look at the Psychic damage. Psychic being a horrible move now anyway, completely shutting down the opponent, which is quite hilarious here, honestly. It is quite hilarious. You're going to see the Psychic coming through again. We can go for the full farm down, and the opponent is going to swap into their Deoxys. Icy Wind coming through, going to be able to drop their attack a little bit, and we will also see them going for the full farm down. Now they have a ton of energy. What do? We do go into the Bastiodon. And this battle was actually quite wild. Like, this looks like an easy win at this point, right? If everything goes our way, we should be kind of fine here. But Crunch, getting the defense drop immediately, is going to be quite an awkward one. Like, it's a 30% chance. Like, this is really, really bad for us because now their fast move and charge move damage is just adding up even more. So I can still let one move go through. It's going to be another Crunch, and they get it again. 9% chance to get it back to back. That is quite a wild one for them, and it's going to shift the match up completely, because now I'm forced to swap out of here into the Tropius because they did way more damage than they were supposed to, and they can go for another charge move. Do they get another defense drop? They do not, luckily, but it's still not over because we're forced to go ahead and go for the full farm down here. I'm forced to let the move go through because I know that the opponent's Deoxys still has a move stored, and I'm forced to go for a shield here, but I know that they have 2 moves stored, and so they're going to be able to win the CMP tie, which is kind of hilarious because Deoxys is one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the game, but Tropius is even bulkier, but they're at -4 attack. They can still reach another charge move against the Bastiodon, and this is going to be it, right? We're gonna lose this one. Or do we? We can still take this one. We can still take a count, and we can still smack down the Lostheart. What a way. Like, all the chances basically aligned for the opponent, but they still were not capable of winning this game. Kinda nice for us, as we're gonna see the opponent here having a Trevenant in the lead. Again, Trevenant kinda got way more popular now with the Seed Bomb buff, which is quite hilarious because the Seed Bomb buff, as you maybe saw in the videos before as well, barely did anything. This is like the kind of interesting thing that you see all the time basically for new seasons. If something gets nerfed, basically people just drop it immediately. I barely see any Whiscash. I see quite a lot of Lantern still, but Whiscash nearly completely vanished. And yeah, as soon as something gets buffed, everybody is playing it the entire time. So like, I don't think that Trevenant is going to go anywhere. Like, I think Trevenant is going to stay around in the meta for the entire season here basically, just because it got buffed. Even though the matchups are kind of basically the same, if not even worse than last season, because now the water type Pokemon that was good against got nerfed as well. So it's quite hilarious to me because, like, literally, like, the buff here for Seed Bomb, yes, it changed a little bit, but like, it did not really change any crazy matchup. It's literally the same as it was last season. It was as good last season as well, but nobody was using it, and now everybody is using it. But yeah, anyway, we're going to see here a very bad lead for us. We're going to have the Azumarill, and I was thinking, is this the team that I showcased yesterday with Dartrix? Because I don't see too many Azumarill right now, and so seeing an Azumarill in the lead here, I was like, maybe it is, who knows? So I decided to use a shield here, because if it is my team that I showcased yesterday, it would be an Annihilate in the back and a Dartrix in the back, and so I would be really likely needing my Wigglytuff here, and so I decided to go for a double shield. And this is the thing as well, which is kind of awkward if you use my teams against me. I just know how to battle against them as well, because I know what's going to be happening, and I kind of can foreshadow any kind of move that is coming up against me. And so basically, after seeing there was an Ice Beam Hydro Pump Zumro, I kind of was knowing already what they would have in the back. And so for me, I just was planning the entire battle in my head already, and so I know that I'm going to be able to win this one quite easily because I can just counter them, because I was using 2 shields on the Wigglytuff, because I was expecting a certain backline. Of course, if you would change strategy up a little bit, it would be a little bit different as well for me. So like if you have, for example, a different Pokemon in the back, you would completely screw me over with that. But like this is kind of the difficulty of using my teams against me. Against anybody else, like if they don't know, like that's totally fine. But for me, of course, I know what I build. And so still, thanks for watching, especially to this player as well. Thanks for watching my videos, and hopefully you still have some good games with the Startrix team. But this concludes for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. A little bit of a toxic one again. I know people are gonna complain in the comment section, but it is what it is. And hopefully, yeah, you enjoyed this one, and see you then. Bye bye.